All right, I hope everyone can hear me now. Yes. Okay, right. Okay, so with the same Sublime text, we would want to open a new Sublime text file. So you can either double click on this empty area to create a new file, or you move to the files over here and then go to new file to create a new file. Whichever way you want to, you can create a new file. So once you create a file, we want to save the file. So Python usually saves its file as a .py file. It's a .py file. So we would want to save this file as that. So let me name it first. Let's create .py. It should always end with .py. Let me put it here. Okay, let me see which one. All right, so I guess we all have a Py file now. So Python is a programming language like any other programming language that we have, like JavaScript, Java. It's a programming language, yeah. And the same, most of what we learned in JavaScript is also applicable in Python. The only difference is the script, as in the syntax. The syntax is what is different but the concept is still the same. We are going to learn about classes, objects, data types. We are going to learn about variables. So basically, once you have a firm grasp on the concept, that's what you did in JavaScript or any other programming language you might have learned already. It would be very easy for you to bring that same understanding into Python. But all you have to do is to understand how the syntaxes, differences within the syntaxes. So the first thing we'll be looking at today would involve looking at classes again. We'll be looking at classes, keywords, statements and comments, then probably indentation and then data types. Okay. So we'll be starting with what we call keywords. So the first we want to do, we learned about commenting. So in Python, if you want to comment, we use the hash sign, and then you put your comment about this. So we are looking at keywords. We are looking at keywords. So keywords are words that have been reserved in Python. They are words that have already predefined meanings already in Python. So we have a word something like none. None is a keyword in Python. It already comes with its understanding, none. We have another keyword like, so let's check none. We have from. From is also a keyword. From is also a keyword in Python. We have print is a keyword. Then we have, there are a lot of keywords in Python. We have none, print, we have instance, we have true, false. There are a lot, right? So these words are words that we are not supposed to use whenever we are writing the script, as in we giving it our own desired meaning. They already come with their predefined meaning. So let's say, for instance, we know that print, right, is used for write outputs in Python. So when I say print, so when I click on control and hold it and then add B, it should give me the output over here, go. Now, I'm guessing that if you guys should also do the same thing by holding down the control and then clicking on B, it wouldn't run over here. Now, if that's the case, you have to come to tools. When you come to tools, you come to build system. When it comes to build system, there should be Python somewhere here. So you click on the Python. Then now it allows you to build whatever you write over here with Python. I mean, if it's your first time and you click on the Control B, it should also pop up Python, build with Python. A pop-up should come, and then you just choose the Python, and then you should have your outputs there. So like I was saying, print is a keyword. So if print, which prints out objects, I want to say that I want to use print for something else, like say what can we use print for? I want to use print as something's coming to mind now. But if you want to use print for something else which is different from what it has been designed for, it brings conflict because Python understands print to print out an output, and then maybe you define the function and you define the function print. So now it will decide whether to use the function that you have print as that which is supposed to be used, or whether it should use the keyword print. So that's by the way with the keywords in Python. Keywords are words that have been reserved, so you are supposed to learn what those keywords stand for, what they mean and what they do, and then use it within your script as an need them. So for instance, with the keyword, I'm saying that we have true or false. So true or false are keywords, and these keywords are used whenever you want to write Boolean statements. We use it from whenever you are trying to make some imports from other modules or packages. So you say maybe from Jet module, I want to import get Jet name. Then so you can use the from there. We use them whenever we want to state that a preset or an object is none. So we can say if none, then we continue with it. So that's the keywords. The next thing we are going to look at is statements. So when we talk about statements are instructions that we put. So statements they are instructions that we usually give the Python interpreter for it to execute. So a simple statement can be print A. It's a statement. Another statement can be say A is equal to 2, and then B should be equal to 10. Then we can say should print A plus B. So these are Python statements. They are just instructions that we give our Python interpreter for it to execute. So that's with Python statements. These are quite straightforward. And you realize that the one thing that you can see over here against the JavaScript that we did was that with JavaScript, when we were initializing variables, we were bringing var, but we have a variable over here, Python, without any var. So within this same statement, we have variables. And we explained earlier on that variables are just containers that hold values or objects. So when I said A is nothing actually, A is just undefined. But the moment I bring is equal to, I'm saying that I want to assign something to A. Now what I want to assign to A can be anything, but what I chose to assign, say girl, to A. So now A becomes a variable that's holding a value girl. So this is what variables are. They just containers that hold values or objects. If you want to move deeper into what variables are, they are just locations within your system that allow you to be able to go and fetch any value or any kind of output that you might have within your system. Whenever you don't put your outputs or your values within variables, there's a lot going with your system, as in your machine. So these words are just anywhere, but when you state or you put your values or outputs within a variable, it defines the location to which it is going to put that value. So whenever you call the variable name, it goes into the system and then it knows that, okay, this variable name is here. So it's like it is calling that name, it calls that name, and then it brings out your value. So that's with variable. Then we want to look at indentation. So indentation is, I think we saw that also in JavaScript. So when we talk about indentation, one thing that should come into your mind automatically is a block of code. So indentation allows us to perform a particular, function or to execute a group of statements that are within a code block or a block of code. So, for example, what we can do for A in, say, 1, 2, 3, right? The moment we do this, you realize that automatically it has given me an indentation over here. So what this is saying is that whatever I write here is local to this particular statement over here. So this indentation allows you to execute like a block of code. And then we end the indentation by moving out of the indent. So I can say it should print A for me, and then I can come here. So the moment I move out of the indent, it means that we've ended our indent. So whenever I continue writing with this indentation, I write something over here, it means that we are continuing with that block of code. We end it by moving out of the indentation. So indentation should be very you should pay attention to it, because once you are writing, then you miss the indentation, it's going to give you an error telling you that there should be an indentation and there should be a block of code within that indentation. So even when you are setting questions like on a Google form and you want to set questions like you say, are you a boy or a girl? And then the next question is, if you are a girl, then answer this question, right? It's the same thing. So you realize that every question that lies under the females are local to only females. The guys can't access those kind of questions. It's the same thing with indentation. All the block of code that are within a particular indent are local to that particular indent, and they are not accessible outside the indent, unless, of course, you give a global scope within that indentation. So if we should run this, also let me comment this out so we don't have this output. So we have our 1, 2, 3 running. So this is just to allow us to see what indentation is. The next thing we are going to look at is going to be data types. So when we talk of data types are actually classes. When we talk of data types, we are talking of classes. And then when we also talk of variables, we are talking of objects or instances of these classes. We use the classes in creating objects. Or we can say that classes are a blueprint from which we have our instances of our objects. So every value in Python, or every value that you have, belongs to a particular data type or a class of data. So we have values like, we can say we have one, and then we can have something like one. You can have something like sorry, we can have something like this also. You can have something like this, and then it should be something like this. It should be something like this. There should be something like this also, or this. And then there should be something like this. All right, so you realize that there are little differences with the same. I've written one, but there are differences with each and every one of the ones that are written over here. If we take the first one we'll say this is an integer. So because int is a keyword, I don't want to use the same int because int is a type. So I don't want to use the same. So let me just add another t. We'll say, let me just keep this. Let's see. Saying integer is equal to 1. So the first one is an integer. Now the second one, we are seeing that we have quotes around the 1. So the second one becomes a string. The next one, we see that I have written 1.0, so that becomes a float. Let me add x to the keyword expression. Then this one, we have curly brackets around the 1. So this curly brackets means that this one is a set. The next one, we have curly brackets, but these curly brackets, we realize that these curly brackets, they come with a key and then the value. So they become a dictionary. We have none, and none is none. We have Boolean. Which is for the true or false, and then we have list. Let me comment it down. So with these, we see that we see the different data types that we have in Python. So we have the integer data type, we have the string data type, we have the floats data type, we have the sets data type, we have the dictionary, we have the type, we have the Boolean, and then we have the list also. And the indicator or the way to recognize these different types of data is what we've done over here. Is what we've done and how I explained it to you. One is an integer because there are no quotes around it. This one over here has quotes around it, meaning that they are strings. We have a period over here, meaning they are floats. We have curly brackets, with just instances of objects that are not key value pairs, so they are sets. But when we have key value pairs within curly brackets, then they are dictionaries. We have none, which is none. We have the Booleans, which are true or false, and then we have the list, which are a group of collection of objects. Okay, so we are done with these data types. Now, with these data types also, they influence what we can do with what at each and every time. Already learned how to write outputs in Python, and writing outputs in Python, I think that was the first thing we did after the commenting. do right outputs. Python, what we did was we said we use the print keyword, and then we just write whatever I want to print out, one or anything. Then we have our output showing over here, one. Do the keyword in writing our outputs. So yeah, so we have what we call operators. So let's look at operators. When we talk of operators, we did the same thing in JavaScript, and we said operators are much more like the normal arithmetics and then comparison mathematical values that or symbologies that we use in performing computations and manipulations. So our operators can be the plus sign, it can be the minus sign, we can have an operator like the multiplication sign, which is star. We can have the floor division, we can have the division, we can have an operator like what again? The modulo. Okay, so let me just write this down for you. So we have the modulo, and then the modulo is this. So we have the modulo over here. So we say modulo is for, we use the modulo whenever we want to, we don't want to, it's modulo. I want 0 as the remainder. So 0 as remainder. We have the division, which is this. This one normal division, which may come with the normal division may come with fractions or decimals. We have the floor. We have the floor division, which comes with this floor division. What it does is that it divides and rounds your values. So there are no decimals. So for instance, if I'm doing something like, we'll have examples of that. So, and we have multiplication, which is star sign. So I think that ones you guys can with the other ones you guys can look at it, look further into it. So let's look at some how they actually manifest themselves. So let's comment this out so that we don't have this output showing again. Comment this one also out because we don't want it to show. So come down here, and then we say, okay, we have A to be have AA, and I'm saying AA should be equal to 4. And then I'm saying it should print AA, and then I want to divide it by 2. So let me see. This is division. Sorry, this should be division. Would be the same thing, and then come down here and see. Let's make this a floor division. And let's make this the modulo. Okay, so let's see Okay, I've syntax error. Everybody's syntax modulo. Okay. Let's comment this out. Let me just comment them out this way. Oh, sorry. All right, so with commenting also, we have a single line comment and then we have a multi-line comment. Single line comment is when you bring the hash in front of the line, or when you just click on control and then the question mark, and then you comment a particular line. Multi-line commenting has to do with you commenting multiple lines at the same time. So you select your multiple lines and then you do your control question mark. So for example, I've selected my line, I click on control and then I click on the question mark and then I have my multi-line commenting here. So let's run this and see. So what we have over here, with the division, you realize we have a float as the output. Normal division, it comes with floats and fractions, but usually floats. Then the float division, we don't have any, we have an integer. No, there are no decimal points following them. With modulo, it returns 0. So what modulo usually does is that whatever, we don't want any remainder, we want to divide and we want the division to go in 100% without remainder. Okay, so those are some few manipulations. So I'm going to give you some few minutes to sync everything through, maybe some few seconds, then I'll move on again.
Jed, I have a question.
Okay.
Regarding the modulus.
Yeah.
I tried to use something else because I've used this before. I think the modulus, what it does is to give us what the remainder is. Say, for example, you write 4 by 3, the remainder is 1, so it brings 1 as a result.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that is it. So it gives you the actual remainder of whatever you use as well. Yeah, modulo gives you your actual remainder. Sorry for the confusion. So one use case of modulo is if you see maybe you might be going to write a test and they give you an assignment. It's like they want you to find out the even and then the odd numbers between a group of numbers. So the first thing that we want to do, you know that even numbers, when you divide by even number, you should get 0. If you divide by if it's an odd number and you divide by an even number, you get 1. So you'll be looking for a remainder. You use the modulo to look for the remainder. So if the remainder is equal to 0, then we know that we're dealing with even numbers. If the remainder is equal to 1, then we know that we are dealing with odd numbers. So yeah, the modulo is used for getting the remainder. So yes, modulo has remainder. All right, so I think we can go on. And even with the variables, I hope you guys have done a little background studies into this, because I'm really not going into like basic, because with the variables also, they are some kind of conditions that you have to keep in mind when declaring a Python variable. You can start a Python variable with, I think you can start with a number, or you can start with, there are some conditions. So you can start with a number. So let's say 1 is equal to 2. Cannot assign to each other. So you can start a Python variable. Let's see 1 and see. So you can start a variable with 1. I think you can start with a hyphen also. But I think you can, if you should use an underscore should work. Okay. So you can start with 1, you can start with an underscore. So I think I'm just explaining broadly, generally what they mean, so that you get it on face value. Once you hear the word, you know what it means. But as to the other conditions bordering it, you have to do that learning for yourself. So like the modulo, if the one who asked the question hasn't used it before, then it means that I might have given you a false information. But yeah, that came in handy. So yeah. So the next thing, since I wouldn't want us to have a lot of information today to worry our mind. So since there's a little bit more time, we can look at some of these methods that can be used against this. So you can take the string, for instance. We have string methods like, so the same thing in JavaScript. You look at some string methods. We want to look at the same thing also, right? String methods. So let's see. Sizzle. Should be equal to me. Now we can do something like cell dots. But let's print this. Let's comment this one out. So now we have an uppercase, the lowercase that I wrote over here. So that's one string format. I think we have dot lower also if you want all to be in lowercase. Use the lower. So we have the lowercase of the capital letters we have over here. If you have something like, let's say I am me, so we can have something like, let me use the same print. Let me use this. Who are you? Who are you? That's the question. We can come here and call this, say this, then put, we use this rather, and then I'll cell here. So who are you? I am me. So what happened was that I have string. This is a string, but I wanted to bring an object within the string. So I use the string formatting to bring the object, which is the cell over here, in here. So this F over here is a string format that allows me to do. So if I don't want to do it this way, I can take this out. I can do this. I can use the formats, and then I can call cell over here. So I have the same thing done here. So these are string format. So whenever you have an object which is a string and then you want to bring it into a string of words, you use the string formats to do so. Okay, so I switch the string methods. Let's look at a few methods in. Let's look at lists. So lists we have name it what line. Let's see. We have let's some fruits. Apple. Let's do pineapple. And then let's use tangerine. So we have a list of what can we do? We can look at indexing. So we can do Y for the list. We can index 0. Let's comment these out. So we don't need these now. So we learned about indexing. We said that indexing starts from 0, and then it takes the length of the list minus 1. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3. But if we are supposed to count from 1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So what happens is that we said index starts from 0, and then we have the length being 4 minus 1 giving us 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So 3 will give us the last value, not 4. We can do use the same print we go by Y, and then we want to do so in JavaScript it's called slice. So I think we also call it slice, and in Python we want everything to pineapple. So pineapple occupies the value of 0, 1, 2. So I said give me everything to the value of 2. So when I do this, I have mango and apple. If I do so 0, 1, 2. So 2 minus 1 gives us this. If we try 3, it gives us the pineapple. If we try 4, it gives us the tangerine. I hope you get it. Okay. What can we look at again when it comes to list? Yes, one thing that I thought. Sorry, we have what we call typecasting. We also look at that in JavaScript typecasting. So let's say I have a string and I want to change it to an integer. Let's try it. So let's say let's do dd is equal to, let's say 20 is a string. To get a type, we can do print. We say the type of dd. So we have a type. We see the class over here. It's a string. We have the type to be a string. We can come down and then we should print dd. So let's get a type of this int. So we realized that we're trying to print an int now. So what we've done now is that we've casted an integer over the string. So now this becomes an integer, and then we are checking the type to see what it is, and then it's giving us an integer. Okay. So this applies to almost anything. You can do float also. Changes it to float. You can change a list to a set also by using the same method. I think this should be okay for today. I think with this we almost covered everything we did using JavaScript, so this should be easy for us to understand. So with the subsequent ones, we'll be diving into more Python stuff. So I bring the class to a close, and then I open the floor for questions. Okay, so it seems there are no questions then. Is it clear to each and every one of us? Are we okay?
Yes.
All right. Then, Ernest, I think we can bring the class to a close then. I don't know if he's still on the line. So, Ernest, if you hear me, we are done for today. So I think today was so much more an introduction and trying to make us get almost everything we had from JavaScript and then import the knowledge over here and to see how the concept between JavaScript and Python flows in line. So when you are picking up a different language, maybe Java or Ruby or any other language, you'd be able to do the same conveyance of knowledge.